It is great for the athletes, amazing for the athletes. You finally get paid for being you. You can get paid for your name, your likeness, your image. It is terrible for the sport.
Ooh, let's hear it.
Great for the athlete, terrible for the sport.
Let's go.
College football is already currently swimming upstream as far as creating parity. There are about 13 teams on an annual basis that can win the national championship. And as of late, there are about 4 to 5. LSU, Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, Oklahoma, Georgia, whoever you want to say. It's only about 4 to 5, maybe 6 teams lately that can actually win the national championship. But now, by allowing college athletes to be paid for their likeness and their image, it is amazing for the individual, and it is great by intent. But imagine I was going to go to a small school. I'm a top flight recruit.
Columbia?
Going to go to a small school like Columbia, but all of a sudden an individual comes up and says, well, Sal, if you go to this big name program, I can guarantee you'll get $500,000 for 50 autographs. Now you're looking like, wait, why in the world would I go to this smaller school when this big name program got big time bread for me? It essentially is legalizing the payment of college athletes, which will only make parity that much harder to attain in the sport. Amazing for the athletes, and the athletes do deserve being compensated for their name, their likeness, and their image, but it does make it harder to achieve the ultimate goal of parity in sports.
Okay. I like your take, but we're going to have a conversation that's going to include some pushback.
Let's go.
First, let me say this. This rule change right here, I don't understand why people are celebrating in the streets. It's a distraction. It is not the end goal. It's not the end game. It was not the purpose you got on this mission in the first place. So mission not accomplished. It's the banana in the tailpipe, as Eddie Murphy once said. Think about this. I'm on a team, and some of these teams, my coach is making $8 million. And they just walked up to me and said, oh, you can get paid being you now. Basically, he told me I could be a Kardashian, which is the best job in the world. Y'all won. You can be yourself and you get paid for it. That sounds amazing. Those should be golf claps, if anything. You know why? Because instead of compensation, a base salary, you try to sell me a commission base. Get it with your muscles. Get it with your hustle. Do you know the disparity that will be created between those 18 years young, told now, know your value, have that value proposition sold locally, regionally, nationally, and monetize off of it? The NCAA is lying to these athletes in terms of how this is going to benefit them because they know how it's going to play out pragmatically. Behind closed doors, they're sitting there giggling like, good luck trying to go out there and sell yourself. And then good luck for the few that will sell themselves because the rest of them will be sitting in that locker room with resentment. Why am I over here? One, it's not just important just to play. It's not just important just to start. It's like, what am I getting out of this? Because many, if not most, are not going pro in the first place. So now you've made this the end game. And in the end game, they're not getting what they should in the beginning. They're not getting what they should in the initial stage. It's really bass backwards, as they say. You making me hustle for something you owe me. You making me work for something you're supposed to give me already. And I hate when people say they give them free board and tuition. Shut up. Nike gave me free product every single time I wanted it. You know why? Because it's not really free. Y'all paying for it in the masses. The student body pays for the athletes by the margins. Education probably costs 10 G's. They charging 70 G's. That other 60 G's is going to pay this room and board and tuition. But nah, that ain't how they gonna propose it. They gonna propose it like this. Oh, you guys have the freedom to do whatever you want to do. Get paid. If you don't start with a base salary of monetary compensation, you already done tricked me, and I ain't going for it.
That's good. Now, because I've debated this conversation several times, I think here is the issue with the logic. So Forbes study shows that the top paying revenue earning college programs, Texas A&M, $107 million, Texas, $100 million, not profit, but revenue.
Okay.
$100 million, A&M, $107 million, Ohio State, Alabama, Michigan round out the top 5. Here's the issue.
Let's go.
Only 2 programs and 98% of college programs make money. Football, basketball. Because of Title IX, however, though, Sal, if you pay the football player, you also got to go play the men's soccer player. If you pay the basketball player, you also have to pay the rower, even though the rower and the soccer player are losing money.
Yes.
So as a result, the football player is taking an unfortunate L. I took one at Texas. I couldn't get paid because Texas football had to keep all the other programs afloat. That ain't fair to me. However, at least now they're saying, hey, Acho, eat what you kill.
Yeah.
Kill what you eat.
Yeah.
As long as you can make some bread, I'm not going to stop you. So while in a perfect world, and you see your boy, they were selling my jersey, Sel. They were selling my jerseys on campus in the co-op. That's me, 18. That's my brother, 81.
Fresh.
They selling your boys' jerseys. I ain't see no coins from it.
Yeah.
At least now they're saying, hey, Acho, if you can go get paid, go get paid, because we really theoretically couldn't pay you and pay everybody else who's losing money and stay afloat. And that's the caveat I don't think athletes see.
Well, I think athletes see it. They don't know necessarily the route to answer it, but let me help them out a little bit. There are many ways where we could squeeze this and get the same amount. First of all, in this capitalistic society, and especially the capitalism ran at these college campuses, it's a little more than the capitalism if you want to talk about that. Let's talk about what they're doing. They're saying this is all we have. And we have to make sure that we take care of this program, which is at the bottom, while we are making the money and funneling it from the top programs, football and basketball. Let's just be real, okay? Here's the problem. Coaches are making too much money. So you got $5 million, $6 million, $7 million, $8 million coaches, right? Now you're sitting there with a roster of, 100 players? And you're saying we don't have the money. Well, one, I know an easy way to get some of this money. And they get bonuses the further they go. So wait a minute. You paying him $8 million, but he gonna end up getting $10 million with bonus. Where'd that other $2 million come from? It can't come to us, so that's part one. That's one route. Here's another route. The masses pay for everything on margins. That's why we give free swag. Everywhere we go, we give. You just got a Lexus for free. Well, kind of. And a chip. But here you go. But I digress. But the point is, you charge the rest of the student body, and then that's where you get more. Here's another way. Ticket sales just go up $2. Now, there's so many ways where the money's already there, or you can disperse it differently. We'll see how they do it. Well, the NCAA's rule change started a conversation about past violations, including the Fab Five in Michigan and our own Reggie Bush and the Heisman Trophy. Bush issued a statement, quote, over the last few months on multiple occasions, my team and I have reached out to both the NCAA and the Heisman Trust in regards to the reinstatement of my college records and the return of my Heisman. We left multiple messages for Michael Comerford, the president of the Heisman Trust, but instead received a call from Rob Whalen, the executive director, who stated that Mr. Comerford would not be calling us back and that in any event they could not help us. We reached out to the NCAA on multiple occasions and received no help or got no response at all. It is my strong belief that I won the Heisman Trophy solely due to my hard work and dedication on the football field. And it is also my firm belief that my record should be reinstated. Acho. What should the NCAA do about situations like Bush's Heisman and the Fab Five?
So I think you have to reinstate the victories to those who won the games. I think you have to give the trophies to those who won the trophies, because what they accomplished on the court and what they accomplished on the field has nothing to do with what they may have accepted off of it, which has now become legal. Now, first I'm going to talk my dog, Reggie Bush.
Let's go.
Somebody won a Heisman that year. Okay? Reggie Bush won the Heisman that year, and second was Vince Young. If Reggie Bush don't get that Heisman, Vince Young got to get the Heisman. But somebody got to get the Heisman.
Fact.
So the fact of the matter is the Heisman cannot just float in the ether. Give Reggie Bush his Heisman back, since the Heisman Committee and the NCAA made the decision that it's not going to go to Vince Young. Somebody won a Heisman. Somebody need a trophy. I was at the Olympic trials this past weekend.
Yeah.
If you get disqualified in a race, they will take the person behind you. If you get third, they will take the person that finished fourth in the event the third place finisher got disqualified, and the person who got fourth will now get third. A la Vince Young. If Reggie gets disqualified for whatever reason, then Vince Young will now have gotten the Heisman. But what happened at Olympic trials, if they see that somebody was inappropriately disqualified, I saw that on the track with the 100-meter dash for the women, a woman was inappropriately disqualified in the semifinals, they will reinstate her. We have now realized that, at least in certain situations, athletes have been inappropriately disqualified based upon the new juncture and the new rule that athletes are now qualified for the things they were previously disqualified for.
Right.
For that reason, I do think wins should be reinstated, and I do think Reggie should get his Heisman back.
Man, I don't think he should get his Heisman back. That was well stated, and I actually, part of my heart is sitting there on the side with you because I want him to get his Heisman. He deserves it. He earned it. But let's just be real about this in the way I teach my children and the way I learned as well. There's so much room in this world for us to roam and do what we want to do, our freedoms and liberties. People don't really look at it in a proper perspective because there are laws, and the laws are the restrictions. These are the violations, and these are the consequences of those violations, and they're present day. Now, the laws have evolved, just like society has evolved, just like human beings have evolved. But in that present day moment, you know what the restrictions are, and more importantly, you know what the consequences are. So Reggie Bush, anybody in this free reign of roaming around and playing collegiate sports knows there's only a few things you can't do in that moment. Only a few. Now, this is the same Reggie Bush that I used to see was a superstar. I'm in the league, and I'm walking up to Reggie Bush like a fan, and I'm in the league. I used to see Reggie Bush everywhere. Reggie Bush ran L.A., probably ran the country. But there was a couple things they said, Reggie, you just can't do this. Now, were they right or wrong? Retroactively, they were wrong. In the moment, there was controversy, but it was still the law. I can't look at a world where all of a sudden we make the mantra, we move forwards, yes, but we can't move backwards. Think about it. We can move forward, but not backwards. Because if we can move backwards, where do we stop opening Pandora's box about all the things that have changed and then trying to change that? So the consequences were already built because the restrictions were built and the knowledge of those restrictions was there. You violated, I'm sorry. It's a trivial rule. It's a dumb rule, but it's not so dumb that we retroactively now give you the reward for something you shouldn't have done.
You got your undergrad degree in sociology?
Yes.
This is very sociological, I believe.
Yes.
I'm about to try to put you in a box that I put myself
Pandora's
in.
box?
No. I put myself in a box trying to prep for this because I originally was on your side this morning while I'm prepping my notes in the dressing room for the show for y'all. I'm on Stell's side. But then I thought about this, and you know me, I've been doing all this race relation stuff the last year, so I know all my studies and my stats and my history there. 1967 is when interracial marriage became legal, right?
Yeah.
In 1966, it was illegal. The person who is in jail, right, call it for interracial marriage before the Loving v. Virginia Act, the person who's in jail in 1965 and 1966 and 1964 for interracial marriage, once it becomes legalized, I don't know, in my heart, I couldn't wrestle with keeping them in jail for a law that we collectively are like is a erroneous law. And because I think things should be, if you agree with the stance Sell on one principle, we should be able to apply it to every principle. Based upon me wrestling with that, I said, no, once a law gets changed or justified or vindicated, if you will, then you almost have to retroactively fix what you got wrong.
Yeah, I like what you're saying, and I know that would, most people would say, yeah, he got you, Marcel. And I'm going to say, Acho, let's isolate the variables.
Okay.
1965, the law's still in place.
In some states. Yep.
And then all of a sudden they changed the law. You know what they took away from you when you were being penalized if you were in violation of that? Took away your freedoms. Now once they change the law, you know what they can't give you back? The time that was lost. Most people would say the freedoms. It's the time that was lost. It's gone. Like Reggie Bush. They could say, look, you're penalized. We took your Heisman. But you can still be Reggie Bush, who had a tremendous pro career. You can still be Reggie Bush, who works here, who has a brand. But you know what you lost? You can never get back. Some part of that you never get back. What part of that in this equation is? That damn trophy. You're not getting it back, if you ask me. Should he, in terms of merit, in terms of what he earned? Yes, it shouldn't even been a rule. But it was a rule, and the violation of that rule is what got him in harm's way. So since we can't give it back to you because that was the rule, how do you talk about anything that's present day right now? Do you know what you're going to enable? Okay, it's 2021. I'm going to break some rules. The dumb rules, the trivial rules. And then 2040, holla at your boy. Because you know what? I should never been in jail. That's
But let me ask
Pandora's
you,
box.
But let me ask you, don't you think when you're talking about whether it is the Fab Five, whether it's the Ohio State players, because this is everybody, not just Reggie. Ohio State players, y'all remember 2010 accepted tattoos for free, $14,000 in exchange for their bowl rings. That ultimately, I believe, ran Jim Tressel, the great Ohio State coach, out of there, made way for Urban Meyer, which then made way for Ryan Day. The Fab Five vacated all of their wins. Des Bryant, he lost his last eligible year of football and then had to go to the NFL off only playing 2 years in college. Sel, in the event you've already taken a loss, isn't that loss enough? Can't we try to make up for how we already wronged you? Like the cats that are in jail and you find out, oh, you shouldn't have actually been in jail. I can't make up for the time you lost, but at least I can set you free.
So there's no trophy coming back.
But at least I can set the trophy
Reggie is free.
Reggie was free. I can set the trophy free. I can set the wins free.
Yes,
I can bring the banners back for the Fab Five.
Okay.
Jim Tressel, I can reinstate your wins. Like I can't give Jim Tressel, I can't give you your job back at Ohio State. I'm sorry. Ryan Day is there now.
And
I can give you your wins back.
That's my point. Like, you're not going to get it all back. And whatever they give you back, okay, if they can. Like, I'm not adamant on my side.
I feel you.
What I'm saying, I'm just saying in principle, I believe what I'm saying. But if you could give Reggie Bush his trophy back and it's not going to open up Pandora's box, it's not going to set this bad precedent, I'm with it. But let me give it to you in this lighthearted example, even though it wasn't light in the moment. Nate Newton. Marijuana laws.
I play with his
Riding around with what?
Yep.
400 pounds or something crazy? Now, it was still a debate, controversy, trivial. The marijuana laws at the time, correct? Mm-hmm. But Nate violated the trivial laws. Guess what, dog? You got to deal with those consequences in that situation. Now we're going to look and say, since marijuana's legal in some states and still federally illegal, but Nate Newton, you know what we're going to do? What you going to give him back? He got the freedom. He paid his time. He did his time. He did his consequences. That's it. What do you get in return? I just don't see the return for Reggie Bush. If it's just a trophy, it's just a trophy. But Reggie, you already know. You're our Heisman winner.